What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Stats and Facts, where we have all the stats.
And we have all the facts.
I go by DJ G94.
And I go by One. And y'all already know how we do it.
So let's get into it.
Brainz Prasad in the house.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
So introduce yourself, brother, tell everybody what you known for.
Again, I'll say my name again. They call me Brainz. I'm a film composer, a television composer, a beat maker, and a songwriter, and I've been doing it for about 30 years.
Okay.
Timing.
That's what's up, man.
Located out of Cali, located out of Los Angeles, California.
All right.
Yes, sir. What part of Cali?
I'm in Studio City. I don't know if you guys have been to Los Angeles, but I live 2 minutes from Universal Studios.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
yeah. Central. It's like Central. And this is just like right beside North Hollywood, which is like the arts district. If y'all come up here, you're going to find there are tons of recording studios in this area, ton of artists, songwriters, producers, screenplay writers, actors. This is like the art district in Los Angeles.
dope.
Okay.
Now, I know one thing I heard about LA is the traffic is just unbearing. Is that true?
It's real. Real talk. The traffic's critical out here, man. Man, just getting home right now was crazy.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
Especially after right now, we're in the process of kind of reopening up everything, So, people are out. It's nice out. People just want to get outside and get some fresh air, even if it's driving, around the block and back home. That's what people are actually doing. So, yeah, it's good to see everything come back together.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna kick it off with the first question, Brainz.
Yes,
So
sir.
what was it like growing up in Edmonton, Vancouver? That's Canada, y'all. Y'all didn't know.
Yeah. So I grew up in Edmonton, Alberta. Alberta is the province. It's like how you have states in the States. It was good. When I was young, we didn't have hip hop radio stations. You couldn't really get hip hop in the record stores either. You had to order those songs. You had to order the albums. So when we started getting hip hop when I was younger, it was on college radio. That's where we started hearing everything. And that was like our first introduction to, like, for me anyways, getting into the music industry and listening to music, not just the industry, but listening to music. And then my family were performers. My sister used to sing with open for the Wailers, like Bob Marley and the Wailers. And we had bands in our basement all the time. My sister and them were practicing. So I was always around music. I just didn't realize how it influenced me. And then I got to a certain age where I started performing. I started as a hip hop artist. I started as a DJ. I must have started when I was like in grade 5, playing records, 45s. And then I got into rapping with the homie Anthony President. And we just started rapping. And that's, every kid's dream. You start off, you don't even get paid from it. You just do it, right? And it was a love. It was a passion. You learn from your mistakes. And when I was younger, we toured with Fresh Prince, Rob Bass and Easy Rock, Cash. There was another group called Cash Money Click, and it was a DJ and a rapper. But yeah, we just started off doing hall parties, dance parties, anywhere we could get any kind of, performance and show our talent. That was what we were on, like everybody else in this country. Pick up a mic, put on a beat, and let's just show, let's see what you're made of. That's pretty much what it was.
Right.
And then I started gradually moving over to making the music myself, rather than just spinning, the instrumental. That's how I got into doing music for myself.
Okay. So for the people that may not be familiar with like a lot of Canadian musicians, obviously you got the big names like the Drakes, the Weekends, and so
Justin Bieber.
Justin Bieber, yeah. With that said, who were some of your influences coming up?
Man, I would say my influences is Bob Marley and the Wailers, Teddy Riley, hip hop artists like KRS-One, pop groups, the Eagles. Any music that was musical was what I listened to. I was into a lot of music, a lot of soul music. I loved Jodeci growing up. I loved anyone that was singing. Boyz II Men, John P. Key. When you heard him sing, it was like it gave you shivers as a child. So you wanted to sing like him, So heavily influenced by a lot of that soul singers, Marvin Gaye, I mean, the list goes on. I'm sure all three of us on this line right now share some of the same influences in that regards. And then, you know, as you start going, then you start liking people like Biggie, you know, KRS One, Tupac, and then, you know, I'm a fan of Future. I like what Future does. So, you know, there's a lot of artists I'm influenced by. Kanye West. I'm influenced by a lot of people because you listen to the music and you get influenced by what they're doing and you learn, right? So, yeah, I've been influenced by a lot of artists, a lot of music producers. I was signed to Babyface when I was younger. I was like a huge influence. You know, he was a great songwriter. When you start learning how to write a song and not just make a beat, there's a huge difference. And I think that's the biggest escalation from my growth is when I moved over from just making beats on a drum machine to actually knowing how to structure a song, write a song, and then learning how to actually produce a record, which isn't just making beat. It was, you know, choosing the right mic, it was choosing the right snare, choosing the right demo singer, the right singer. It was choosing all the aspects, the right speakers. You know what you're using, what DAW system are you using? You're using Logic, you're using Pro Tools. So as a producer, you produce the record, right? Then I started learning how to do that. So I'll step back real quick. I moved from Edmonton to Vancouver, BC. And while I was in BC, my boy and I had a group called Lopsided, and we would put together our demo records for all those people that are hip hop artists out there, R&B artists. And we would save up our money, get up on a plane and fly to New York, because that was what was hot at the time. And we would go and like try and get meetings with people like Puffy, EMI, Sony. And we were successful. And one thing we learned fast is don't tell them the truth, tell them what they want to hear. And we did that, and that got us in the door, and that at least got us to play our music so they could listen to us and give us their opinion. We soon found out nobody liked what we were doing. There are a lot of people like, man, it's cool, man. You got a lot to learn still. You know, I think I was 19 years old, 20. Okay. And but one of the common denominators is they kept asking, who did the music? And I was like, I did. Oh man, can we have this track for so-and-so? Can we get you in the studio with this person, that person? I was like, yeah, of course. So we quickly realized that we had an ability to write music, you know, and we had the ability to write songs. I think what was happening was they were gravitating towards the songs, and we were doing stuff that sounded like it could be on radio. And that's what the record execs were gravitating towards. Not so much as, oh, he's a dope hip hop artist, because obviously we weren't dope. To us, we were dope. To them, they're like, oh, that's cool. To our local community, we were dope, but you know, to the record labels are something different. So that's how it happened. Then we realized, okay, why don't we put a demo record together with the songs that we wrote. So we did that, got on a plane, went back to New York. We've been in New York about 10 times, landed in New York, except this time was different. Every single meeting we went to, the company started explaining to us how their organization works. And we thought, yo, this is weird. And it would end with, okay, we can do this much money. And we were like, are we being offered a deal right now? Well, we didn't understand what that was, right? And so the guy's like, yeah, well, we're offering you guys a deal. I want to offer you guys a deal. So we had several deals on the table. And the last deal out of New York, we chose a company called EMI. Brian Jackson over at EMI said, I'm only signing 3 writers and producers this year. And he said, I'm going to sign this kid named Pharrell. He has a group called the Neptunes. And I'm going to sign you guys and another kid named Rodney Jerkins. And that was who he was signing for the year. So that was our road trip to getting our first offer and taking our first deal, except when we went back to Canada to pack all of our stuff and, you know, we're moving to New York. We actually didn't end up doing that because while we were waiting for our deal to sign, a homeboy of ours was in Los Angeles working at a Babyface's camp. So he said, yo, why don't you guys fly down here and come do some co-writes with us while you are waiting on your deals to be signed for your attorney to do the full contract. I said, cool. Went there, worked on some music. While we were down there, we were playing our demo tapes to other people in Los Angeles. Man, someone heard one of our tapes and took it to Babyface. And at that point, he's like, man, I want to sign these cats. Who are they? What do they do? And they're like, yeah, we write 100% of the songs. And so you could see they're 100% writers. And at the time, Babyface was key on, like, I want to just sign 100% writers. People that write their own lyric, their own melody, demo up their own records. And we were doing all the above. So that's how that deal came about. And then long story short, we ended up moving to Los Angeles we said we're going to live here for 1 year. Then at that point, we're going to move to New York. Bro, I moved down here in 98 and I just stayed. Fell in love with Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Everything was here. Everything was accessible. You could, Kenny gave us studios. We signed like $1 million deal. He gave us studios in the heart of Hollywood. Like my partner and I, both of us had our own studios beside each other. So with the state-of-the-art equipment, and he was mad generous. And so we're like, yo, this is it. This is the spot. Plus the weather, man. Couldn't get enough of the weather. It was just LA. We fell in love with LA. And there was a lot of opportunity down here. We just found that the difference between, at that time, at this time too, the difference between like LA, New York, Atlanta, Texas, Miami is that I think LA kind of makes people lazy in a way, because it's so nice and everybody's so laid back and blah, blah, blah. But you can't do that. You got to stay on your grind continually. You have to, otherwise somebody is going to eat your lunch. Someone else is going to get that record. Someone else is going to get on. You're not going to get on. So you got to continue to grind hard. I know I said a lot, but if you can keep asking questions, I'll just talk off the top of my head.
All right. The 1998 year, that's also the year that you signed with Babyface, and you also produced for the movie Pootie Tang. So you can tell me about that?
Yeah, Pootie Tang. Pootie Tang was interesting. Our business manager at the time, Michael McCorn, he was managing us, and he was doing music supervision for that movie. And he asked us to come aboard if we could do some songs on it. So at first, how do I explain this? When you're spotting a movie, what happens is you go and you sit in the movie and you screen the movie, right? After you watch the movie, it's not out in the public, it's just for industry people. You leave the movie and the guy the director will stand up and they start explaining what kind of music they want and blah, blah, blah. So our business manager at the time was the music supervisor. So he asked us if we could do some music for it. And at the time we're like, yeah, I don't know. They're like, man, just do some music on it. So we did. We got together with Master P, Magic. We did a record with them. Did a record with Nate Dogg, God bless his soul. Nate Dogg and Roscoe. Did another record with Ideal. And yeah, all that stuff made it into the movie. It was an MTV production. It was with Chris Rock. And it's kind of a cult classic to a lot of people, It's just one of those things when people smoke weed, they watch Pootie Tang.
Yeah.
Just one of those things.
Yeah.
And so speaking of like the movie scene, man, we always had like a lot of slave movies and stuff like that, right? And this particular movie that I want you to talk about, it was like our chance to really just enjoy a decent movie, like with that type of content. And I'm speaking of Django for you guys out there that may not know what I'm talking about. Man, Django was just a dope film all the way around. So I wanted to ask you, what was the experience like being a part of that?
Django was an interesting movie. It's it's Quentin's perspective on how slavery is. I really like what Quentin Tarantino does when he did Inglourious Bastards, his take on how the Jewish Holocaust went and how Jewish people were treated. And he did the same with slavery. And I love how he does that. Jay Fox was in there. Obviously, he led it. And we were doing, he was filming actually. And he hit me up one day. I was back in LA. He was in Louisiana. What did they do Mardi Gras again? He was up there. He was up
New Orleans.
He was in New Orleans, Atlanta, and LA. And so he was in New Orleans, and he hit me back, and he was like, we need to do a song for this. So when they were on hiatus, he came back here, and he had an idea for this record. He's like, I want it to go like this. So I started putting the beat together. After I put the beat together, Jamie actually imitated Rick Ross on the hook, and he did 100 black coffins. He did that. And what we did is we packaged it up. We went to Quentin's house and we played it for Quentin. And so Quentin came in, there was some, martinis in the back of the car. And he's like, yeah, I want some martinis. We're like, no, bro, we're cool. And he listened to the record and he's like, okay, I like this. I want to put Dr. Dre on it. At the time, we were like, well, no disrespect to Dre, but he wasn't the hot one. It was Rick Ross was hot at the time. So we suggested Rick Ross. He said, man, I'm game with it. If that's what the young people like, then I'm game with it. So package up the record. Fox reached out to my boy Tate, Black Tate, reached out to Rick Ross for us. And Spiff, his boy Spiff. So they reached out to Rick. Rick said, cool. We arranged it so that he could come and cut the record over back at Fox's place. But what happened was, it was all good. He was coming from Las Vegas. Fox called a bunch of people, and the next thing you know, 2 Chainz was up there, Puffy was up there. We had trucks full of Ciroc pulling up, and in the blink of an eye, I think there was like 400 or 500 people up there, and we were partying. Everyone got lit, and by the end of the night or the next morning, we didn't cut the record. So the next morning, I'm like, Fox, we didn't record that song, man. I really, that was like a great opportunity. And he's like, I know, man. Let me call. So we called him. Rick called his engineer. His engineer called me. I sent him a track because he's going on tour now. So he cut the record in Miami, and they sent me back the vocals. I said, thank you. Brought it back here, put the vocals in, got it done, got Jason Joshua to mix it. If y'all don't know who Jason Joshua is, you should know. He probably has 80% of the radio for all hip hop and R&B. He's one of the baddest mixers around. Did up the record, handed it in, they put it in the movie, and that was pretty much how it ended up in the movie.
Dope.
Yeah. What's the name of the record again?
Called 100 Black Coffins.
Okay. That's what's up.
Dope.
All right. Tell me about producing the 2001 film Save the Last Dance.
Save the Last Dance was interesting too. Same situation. We had our business manager, Michael McWarren, was music supervising that movie, and we went to Paramount Studios to watch it and blah blah blah. And we ended up watching it. My production partner, after we're done, we're like, yeah, I'm not feeling this movie. And he's like, y'all just do the damn movie, man. Come on. So we ended up doing the movie. We did a lot of music in this film because we understood what it was a dance movie. So they needed beats, they needed songs. So we put the first song they put on in the movie was a song we did for Pink. We actually helped start Pink's career in terms of the music. So we had the third single on Pink's first album called You Make Me Sick. Our manager and that album went double platinum already at the time when this movie came out. Then he took the song and put it in the movie and put it on the soundtrack. Then the soundtrack went double platinum. So at the time it came out, I'll get to that in a second, hold that thought. We were making music outside of that record for the movie. So we would make songs, we would hand it into the music supervisor, they would stick it in the movie, and in the blink of an eye, we had a ton of music in that movie. It was just like boom, boom, boom. I had a group, my partner, we had a group called Blackout at the time. It was myself, Anthony President, J.R. Ewan from Dallas, Ronnie DeVoe from Bellevue DeVoe, shout out to Ronnie, and Rue from Poor Broken Lonely. We put a group together. It was a hip hop group. We did rapping, we did singing. And so we put part of our group stuff in there as well. If you listen to, they did 2 soundtracks. The second soundtrack went gold. So it pushed a lot of units. So yeah, so we did the record with Pink. They put it on the soundtrack. That Christmas, I went to New York to visit my sister and my dad for Christmas. I got a call from my manager saying, yo, we're #1 at the box office. I said, what? He's like, yeah, we're #1 at the box office. I mean, get out of here. That's crazy. I never guessed that would happen. After Christmas, I went to Hawaii with the homies, and I get another call from my manager, and he said, yo, we're #1 on Billboard. I'm like, wait, what? The soundtrack went #1, dog. I was like, holy cow, that's incredible. So you know, that song had a lot of life because we ended up winning an American Music Award, and we got soundtrack of the year on that movie. So you never know what's going to happen. Like, you really don't know. You know, just like your guys' channel, you have no idea. A year from now, you guys could have those, you know, those YouTube plaques. You could have a platinum one. You never knew. It just happens. It's like, you know, it just happens.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that was one song that did all that energy. That was incredible.
Yeah, I remember Save the Last Dance as like having a big impact when it first came out. Like, it was a big deal. Super big movie.
Because after that, a lot of people copied it and did other dance movies.
Yeah. Exactly.
Step Up, that damn movie. What's that movie? That's the name of the movie, Step Up?
Step Up, yeah.
Yeah, Step Up came from that too.
Yeah. And so that makes me think about this. I wanted to ask you, is your approach different with writing songs for albums versus writing songs for movies and shows? Is it a difference for you?
No, because you're just writing a song in the context that is being asked. So if they're like a love song for an album will most likely work for a television show or a film. What is different is when you're scoring music, and that is the backing music that you're hearing behind the scenes of a movie or a television show. It's like a backing track, or it's score. It's the strings, it's the piano, right? That is way different. That's not that where songs go in like 4 to 8 bar increments, like 4 bar verse, or it's 8 bar verse, 8 bar hook, or 16 bar verse, 8 bar, whatever. Music score doesn't work that way. You are making music in the time frame that it's being cut, and it's not linear to bars. So, you know, where it gets cut, if they want the music to end there, you have to do a weird cut in the music and make it work. So in that regards, making music for television and film, the music aspect, the score is way different than songwriting, way different.
Yeah, I didn't think about it like that. For some reason, I was thinking like how you explained it when they cut it for certain scenes. I was thinking that they just, you know what I mean, after the song is done, you know, you cut it down a little bit and then you squeeze it in for the scene or whatnot. But I didn't think you actually like construct the song for time span. Like, that's dope. Yeah.
One of the biggest players when you're doing a film or television is your music editor. Like my music editor on this last Netflix show, he was awesome. That guy was awesome. Like Richard Brown. Without him, it's tough. He takes what you do and he fits it in the cut somehow.
Yeah. And that's Dad's stop embarrassing me, right? Yeah, that's dope. It's crazy because this past weekend my grandmother, she came and visited, and she was like, "Hey, have you seen the new show with Jamie Foxx?" I was like, "Yeah, I seen the trailer. Haven't watched it yet." She's like, "Yeah, you got to put it on. It's super funny." So it's amazing how that lined up, and you was a part of that. So yeah.
That was made a long time ago. Actually, I would say like 8 years ago, we pitched that to Universal.
Wow.
NBC. And they didn't pick it up. So 8 years later, Netflix picked it up.
Yeah. Y'all check that out. It's on Netflix right now.
Yeah, Stop Embarrassing Me was #1 in the country for 2 weeks in a row. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Speaking of,
but anyways, that's straight up. That's the difference. It's scoring music or needle drops, little pieces of music. It's different than creating entire songs.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Jamie Foxx, man, how do you meet him?
Man, you know what? There was this other guy named Nathan Walton. We used to call him N8. He was also signed to Babyface, and him and I started doing a lot of production together. And then we created a separate production team, and he was friends with Fox. And one day, Jamie was walking down the hallway up at the Edmonds building where Babyface was, and Nate and I were singing, and he was clowning. He's like, "Oh, y'all got that thing in your throat, man. You connecting all the notes." You know, clowning around. And he's like, "Man, y'all can come up to my studio anytime you want to work, man. You know what it is." And we said, "Yeah, for sure. Dang, man, respect." So took him up on the offer, you know, ring his doorbell, literally. And he's like, "Who's it?" "Oh, it's nigga Brainz." "Oh, come on, nigga." Boom, open the door. That was it. We started working there. Wow. And as time went on, as Jamie was moving out of his career to just acting, you know, he started moving into, okay, I'm gonna write on this shit. Okay, I'm gonna direct. Okay, I'm gonna produce. And when he started developing his production company, We all just happened to be there helping him. So, y'all, come on, help out, man. I need some help. There's checks involved. Y'all want to help? So that's exactly how it is. You know, brothers stepped up. You know, Johnny Mack, Dave Brown, Tyron Turner from Menace to Society, Speedy. Everybody's up there working, getting Breon Prescott. Everyone's up there. Lonnie Burrell. There's a lot of people getting that work with Jay, because that's how you know, that's how things work. You need a team behind you to help push things. So I happen to be on the music side of stuff in terms of television and film. So, you know, Fox didn't have to worry about that. He just like let Brainz do the music, and then the communication with the production is like Jamie through me to them, and them through me to Jamie, and that's how it works. Anything he wants, I'll do. You know, and that's how basically everything happened. And from there, we recorded some records. Nate and I did a record with a group called Chapter 4 at the time. We did a record called Fool With You. We cut that at Fox's place. And it was just doing a whole bunch of smaller projects. Did a lot of stuff with Fox. Did Verizon commercials with him. Did the Steph Curry Under Armour commercial with him. Did Apple commercials with him. So, you know, there's a lot of work we work on. A lot of people don't know when I'm behind the scenes. They don't see me, but I'm the one that is, you know, doing the work. Even Soul, Soul was started off in his studio of him and I recording. And you can see, if you go to my TikTok, Brainz Music, Brainz with a Z, you can see when him and I actually started out working on Soul. So little clip it, that's where it started. And then it ended up in the box office. I mean, then it ended up in on the Oscars and the Golden Globes, and it won. Guy's talented. Jamie Foxx is he's a very inspiring person. He takes no shit. You better work hard, because he works hard. You know, if you're not going to do what he did, then you don't need to be around him. And the man is talented in many facets. So, you know, I feel like shit. I'm intimidated. I got like whatever you're doing, it has to be that much better than what he could possibly do, or at least on par, because yeah, he's no joke. He's a classical pianist. First of all, let that be known. He can play.
So,
yep.
So I want to ask you, do you have a favorite studio session
that I've worked on?
Yeah, or have just been a part of, you know?
I did. You know, one thing that I always thought was interesting. I used to sing as well. I'm not an awesome singer, but I would sing backgrounds and stuff like that. My boy Jules and I were in the studio one day, and Babyface came down and he's like, yo, you guys sing, right? I'm like, yeah. He's like, man, do you guys want to do some backups for me on an album? We're like, yeah, sure, why not? He's like, I don't got a lot of money. It'd be free pizza and beer. I'm like, man, come on. Yeah, let's do this, bro. So it just happened to be a song written by Stevie Wonder, produced by Babyface, sung by Mary J. Blige and George Michael at the time. And it was a song called As. So as in, so we sang on that song, we sang the backgrounds. Then he said, no, that's not it. We're doing like three things. We're doing Whitney Houston's Christmas album, and we're doing my Christmas album. So we sang backgrounds on Whitney's Christmas album, and then we sang backgrounds on his Christmas album. That was an interesting session. We were in there with Take Six. We were in there with a bunch of other artists, which made a choir. So that was kind of fun. Anything else interesting? You know, sessions with Master P was always cool. He would jump around from record to record, you know. I worked with Little Romeo when he was literally little. I think he was like maybe 5'3". That was cool, man. Super humble guy, always cool. Romeo's always been cool. That was a fun session. Yeah, I mean, each session different. Pink was cool. Pink was really cool. Super talented, super strong. She would do it, get in a handstand and do push-ups in the handstand like she was a strong girl, right? Really talented, great singer, great songwriter. Yeah, I think every artist you work with has their own thing, you know? It's everybody's got their own thing. Each session is special. So yeah, those are the ones that come to mind.
Right on.
Okay. Me and you also got some in common, Brainz. We both went to college. So tell me what's your college experience like?
Yeah, brother. I went to the ICA, the Institution of Communication Arts out of Vancouver, Canada, and I studied engineering and binaural hearing. designing studio rooms, acoustic designing, yeah. And then outside that, engineering, which is part of it, music engineering, studying consoles, all the math that goes along with, mic cancellation, all that stuff. Yeah, I studied all that. And then I got to a point where I'm like, damn, this stuff's expensive, man. I just wanted to rap. So I actually ended up, I don't suggest this to everybody, but I'm telling the full, I actually ended up dropping out of college. And then, that's when I decided to just focus on making music. And, it paid off. Like a year and a half later, that's when we ended up inking our deal. So I don't suggest that for everyone. We were just, when you're young, you're dumb, and you just do stuff without thinking. At the end of the day, sometimes you just gotta go for it. Otherwise, you get analysis paralysis. You overthink it, then freeze, and then don't do it because you get nervous. Nah, man, go and do it. Just go. You want to rap? Go do it. Show me. Yeah. Show me. Get on these platforms. Get on social media. Show me. You got songs? Show me. Like you gotta show and prove. Otherwise, that's how everybody's made it. Sitting in Canada in a small city, we decided to save up money, get on a plane, fly to New York. We would stay at my sister's or my grandma's. We had all our meetings set, and we would just be going to meeting after meeting after meeting. And back then, that's how you did it. Nowadays, it's a little different, a lot different. But whatever energy you use then, you have to apply it now. But yeah, that's where my school went to. But so I'll tell you, to be honest with you, I never thought I would use anything in school, but I do. I use a lot of what I learned in school now, even when it comes to mixing records. And anybody out there that's taking engineering, they'll know the Fletcher-Munson curve, which is a formula, comes in key when you're mixing a record. So all this stuff that you learn, it can be applied to making beats. It can apply to making music. And most of all, it really applies when you're producing music.
Okay. So has it been a song that you may have not felt like, okay, this is the one while you were writing it, but it turned out to be super special? I mean, I know you spoke about the one for Save the Last Dance, right?
Yeah. You know what's funny about music? It's usually not the one, usually the one record that you like is not the record that gets picked. And I'll tell you why. The reason why is because you develop a fondness for that song, and there's a reason why you love it. And the reason why you love it, you just might like the kick or the snare or whatever sample you used in. But that's not necessarily what the public likes. Yeah. That's what we like as producers, all the bass is kicking, all that lead line's kicking. But that's not what the public likes. They like something different because the public are not a bunch of songwriters and producers. We found that out a lot, later in the game. What we like isn't necessarily what the public likes. So the majority of the time, records that are getting picked aren't the ones that we thought would get picked. They weren't the ones we liked from what was pitched. So that's usually what happens.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's all about what the audience wants, huh?
It's all about the audience, man. You're broadcasting to the masses.
Yeah. Okay.
I read you also did something for one of the greatest shooters of all time in his shoe campaign under Mr. Steph Curry.
Oh, for Steph Curry. Yeah, so Fox went and shot the Steph Curry thing, and then we brought it back to his place with one of the editors. We went and we put like the music to it, and they chopped it up, and they put Jamie Foxx's dialogue. I never met Steph until after we did the stuff, we actually flew to New York because Under Armour did a big, welcoming party, you would call it, because they just brought Steph there. They brought a couple athletes there, and they were each one of them. They gave them their own shoe or their own clothing line. So I actually met Steph there. And if you go to my Instagram, Brainz with the Z, Brainz Music, you'll see a picture of me, Steph, and Tyron Turner from Menace to Society. He came with us there. Yeah, super cool guy. Under Armour, great company. They make good stuff. Interestingly enough, Under Armour, the guy who owns Under Armour, when he was younger and he didn't have anything, he was trying to pitch his T-shirts. So this is how the story goes. And he went on set one day and tried to start pitching T-shirts on any given Sunday. And so Fox like, yeah, man, this shit's dope. Let me see. So he was showing Fox the T-shirt. Then this is the young Jimmy Fox that was fly. Was showing the directors and producers. They're like, yeah, okay, we'll do it. We'll take an order of whatever it was, 5,000, whatever it was. And then he was like, word. And that's how the jumpstart happened, and that the friendship between Jamie and the president of the founder of Under Armour became friends, because Jamie proudly accepted the stuff when they were nothing, right? So they they came back around and said, Fox said, "What up, my dude? Man, you want to do commercial?" Yeah. That was it. So that's how that came around.
Yo, that's dope. That's dope.
Jamie Foxx, man.
Jamie.
Man, I always say this, persistence overcomes resistance. Mm-hmm. The reason why I say that is because you're going to get way more no's than yeses. Sometimes you don't get yeses at all and you get discouraged, but you got to keep pushing through, right? Yeah. Everybody doesn't have the answer. Alicia Keys was turned down by everybody she went to, until finally she went to a gentleman by the name of Clive Davis, who heard her demo and said, "Oh, that's amazing. We'll sign her, give her whatever she wants." So everybody else passed. It only takes one person. You don't have to be right once. You know what I'm saying? That's it. So at the end of the day, yeah, persistence overcomes resistance. Keep banging at it. If you guys have an idea, make sure you study everything about it. Product knowledge is huge. Know everything that you want. If you want to do podcasts, if you want to YouTube, learn everything about it. Learn everything you can about it. When we started off, we knew everybody. We knew all the attorneys. We knew all the A&Rs. We knew the rousters. In fact, what we did before we went into our meeting is that we did a photo shoot, took our faces, took it to a graphic designer. They turned our photo into a Vibe magazine cover, stapled it on the magazine, so it looked like Vibe magazine. It was glossy. When we walked into the meeting, we sat down, we looked at the A&R guy, and we threw the magazine on the table, and it landed. And he said, "Man, what's this? Y'all on Vibe magazine?" And we're like, "No, but we will be if you sign us." He thought that was so cool. He listened to the music. The music matched that kind of enthusiasm and that energy. He liked it and offered us a deal. I mean, that might not get you the deal, but what that does, it shows like, hey, you got a bit of creativity. Your guys I get your energy, blah, blah, blah. So, at the end of the day, just be persistent. Be innovative. Do things that are going to open the door for you. What I learned later on in life, not at a young age, but through my journey, I learned it's not who you know, man. It's who knows you. And I always tell that people, if you go ask Fox, do you know Brainz? He's going to be like, of course. If you ask Pink, Brainz? Of course. You ask Crazy Bone, Brainz? He's going to say, of course. All these things, you want to leave stains in people's brain, and that's how you will continue to get work. So it's quite interesting. And the team of people I'm working with right now is amazing. Bob Logan, he's the director for the animation I'm working on right now. He's from DreamWorks. Marianne Geiger won an Oscar 2 days ago. Won an Oscar for Best Animated Film Short, and she's the producer of this animation. That same day, Fox won an Oscar for Soul. So at the end of the day, man, surround yourself with good people. Make sure that they remember you, and you can get more work out of that in the future. That's so important. Relationships are everything. Music is maybe 10% of the music business, and I would say 90% of it is business connections and figuring all that stuff out. Because everybody's a musician, everybody's a rapper, everybody's a songwriter, everybody's a producer, everyone's a director, right? It's just getting in there and staying.
Okay. So before we let you go, Brainz, man, we wanna know about the animation. Obviously you just spoke on it. How has that process been for you so far with working with that?
Man, let me tell you, I started this animation in the same time I started doing Dad Stop Embarrassing Me, and then COVID hit. Right? The projects both halted. They both stopped. Our offices were at the Yahoo building in Los Angeles across from YouTube, and shut it all down. So on March, I'll never forget this, March 17th, I was at Netflix and we were filming, and they said, "Hey, something crazy is going on in the country right now. We're told that we need to evacuate." And we were kind of confused about what was going on. And that's when everything shut down. Animation shut down. So long story short, we weren't doing anything for like 10 months, and then, I got the call back, and, we started up doing stuff. They didn't really need my help that much at that point, but how the animation is working is 1/4 of our team is in India, which is the second worst place in the world right now. And right now they are hit the hardest in the world right now. A few days ago, they had over 310,000 people diagnosed with the disease in one day. All of our animators are out there. Okay. And then the third worst place is Brazil. We got designers in Brazil working on it, and then New Zealand, and then America. So it's been difficult with 4 different time zones figuring this out. Our producers are working their butts off to keep connected and make sure everything is working. And at the same time, we're figuring out the choreography, because it's a dance movie, dance animation, and getting all that to sync and work together with now getting the music. And now, so Brainz, you got to get together with the choreographer. They still got to hire the choreographer. It's a big process, you know. 5 to 6 years on average is probably how long it takes to shoot an animation. They're creating everything. They're creating hair, their eyelashes, wind, you know, and they're not using copy and paste programs. A lot of these places code their own stuff and use their own stuff. So yeah, working on this, it's been some ups and downs, but I see, you know, I can see the light now. I think Los Angeles is going to open up fully in June 5th or 15th or something like that. So we're ready to roll, bruh. 2022, I think, is what we're looking at for the release of this film. It's called Groove Tales. That's the working title. And it will be in AMC's and any other local theaters near you once we're done. The soundtrack should be massive. You know, we're trying to put together a good body of work here attached to this. Yeah. So that's what we're working on now, man. It's y'all just work, man. Like I said, my advice is, even for you guys, if you're doing your podcast, you're doing hip hop, man, stay on your grind. Just be real knowledgeable. Product knowledge is important. Like, know your competition, know where you want to go, have a goal, set small goals that are achievable. Because if you set these massive goals and you don't achieve it, that's when you start feeling like, I can't do this. But if you set small goals that you can actually check off, you're like, wow, that's done. You know, it's funny. You do simple things like, oh shit, today I gotta go to the mailbox, take out the garbage, you know, go to the grocery store, come back and make beats. This sounds so stupid, but let me tell you, I guarantee you can take out the garbage, check that off. You can go to the grocery store, check that. All those are little things that you can achieve. And I'm not saying those are goals, but I'm just saying do attainable goals. Make 5 records a week. Stick to it. Once you make those 5 record reset, 5 records a week, then I need, you know, in 3 months, I need to be able to put up an entire album of just 12 songs. So if I'm doing 5 a week and you're giving yourself, say you give yourself a month, you even shorten it, 5 times 5, it's 25 records, you're gonna choose 10, okay? So now these goals are getting knocked off. I'm doing it, and finally, boom, you do it. You know, they just released my album on March the 12th on Spotify. It scored music for this film I did called Torn, Dark Bullet. It's very dark score. But you know, I never used Spotify. I listened to Spotify, but I wasn't an artist on Spotify. Between March 10th and now, I went from 0 to, I think, 67,000 followers. Listeners is what they call it, monthly listeners. Just dig at it, go. And that's not even that good of a figure, but however, it's better than 0 where I was sitting. So, you know, that's all I can say. Be persistent in what you do. Be persistent in what you're going to do. You're going to get a lot more no's than yes. But them yeses feel good.
Yes, sir. Wise words from Brainz. Y'all hear it, man. Consistency is the key.
Yes, sir.
So, Brainz, tell the people where they can find you on your socials, and how to get in contact with you.
Yeah, man, if you go to my website, www.brainzmusic.com, Brainz spelled with a Z, all my information, you can contact me on there. Or you can go to my Instagram or my TikTok. It's all Brainz Music. Both of them, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff's Brainz Music. I will be starting a YouTube at some point in this year once I can lock that down, and that's also Brainz Music. And in that, it's going to be about music, money, and motivation. You know, I do believe nowadays, a lot of young kids, a lot of young Black kids, when they get this money, they're not doing anything with it. And that's part of my journey, is to teach what I did wrong and tell them what I did right. You know, the diamond necklaces and the Lexuses and all that stuff is not going to continue to make you money. If you get a little bit of money, invest it in a cash producing asset. I always tell people, if you get a bit of money, take that money and invest it into like a laundromat. what takes minimal operation. While that's generating cash on an everyday basis, it's a sustainable business through any crisis. It's sustainable through any pandemic because by law, it's because it's sanitary. Everyone has to wash their clothes. All laundromats stay open, right? Mm-hmm. You're generating cash. So the days when you're not booking a show or selling a record or getting massive streams, you have something bringing you money, okay? It could be anything. You can drive Uber. You're getting cash at the end of every day. And you control your own hours, right? Whatever you're gonna do, make sure you have multiple streams of income. This business is a bitch. It's tough to keep on making money. But if you have an asset that's generating you money, then you're not so stressed out about writing a record or producing a beat or putting a podcast together, right? Where you guys are going to make your money is not just podcasting, it's going to be advertisements, it's going to be placements, you know, stuff like that. And that's where you're going to generate revenue. So yeah, have another piece of, my advice is have another cash asset that's generating money, not just investing in the stock market and cryptocurrency, because, you know, cryptocurrency is very volatile. I invest in crypto, but you got to be smart about it. But start with something that is actually generating money. Turo, Airbnb, like there's so many ways you can make cash while you're doing your profession, and at least that shit is making you cash, and it allows you to do what you love.
Yep.
That's my word of advice.
Great advice, man.
Great advice.
Be your own boss. Be your own boss. And all those businesses I just said to you, you're your own boss. Airbnb, you're your own boss. Uber, you're your own boss. Turo, you're your own boss, right? So yeah, just food for thought. The gig economy is awesome right now. Take advantage of it.
Yes, sir. That was taken. That's some great advice. With that said, man, it's been a dope episode. Like I said, we want to thank you again, Brainz, for coming, joining us, giving us some game, and telling us all of your experiences within the music business, and you know, a lot of the scores. For those who may not have known you were part of some of those movies, now they know, and that's dope. So we want to thank you. Anytime you want to come back on, you're welcome.
Man, vice versa. I'm gonna hit you guys up when I get my stuff started, and we'll maybe do something where we can bring other people on. Who knows? If you're in LA, you know, if you want to hook up with some other people to interview, I can make that happen.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. We appreciate it.
Appreciate the love and support, dog.
Yeah, man. You guys keep what you're doing, and we'll talk.